everyone has to follow. Another note about this, though, that I want to say about the social media, because the social media itself is this is a technology that we're playing with. This idea that I've been playing with of artificial intelligence in Hebrew is called Bina Malachutit. And Bina, unlike Chokhmah, right? Chokhmah is wisdom, and Bina would be understanding. And there's a sense where it seems scary, but if we do it properly and we could offload our understanding to the artificial intelligence, a great example of that is where you could see this in Waze, right? With Waze or any sort of GPS, we're using this more often right now. And like, our fathers that had like the whole map in their head, we no longer have that anymore. That's not necessarily a bad thing if we fill that extra space and that extra time with chokhmah, means we want to get back to this place where we could actually have wisdom. And I have a flash of lightning from these interactions, from these conversations. So the fact that there's no structure over here per se is what allows for this natural, intuitive conversation. And if done properly, if we are putting our time of worrying about quote unquote money or how I figure out the map or how am I actually going to figure out these taxes, if I could do all of that on the computer or on the AI, and I could now really come back to my intuitive sense and potentially be that prophet again, be that person that could actually perceive and see around him and start weaving these things together. So I think part of bringing back the social to social media is also, again, we're using YouTube against YouTube, right? We want to be taking this technology and making sure we're dividing it properly and orienting ourselves properly. But
we just need to know who's full of shit and who isn't.
There's also that beautiful line, Claire. Right. We also would want to know
people who get to the point without making a speech, because.
But I know your point, Claire. The idolaters,
doing it to show status, right? If you keep listening to me, it means I'm important and nobody interrupts me, even though they don't know what I'm talking about, but they let me go on.
Do you feel it's that, or could it be that I just enjoy talking to Luke?
Well, you could make it shorter, for the sake of others, I know, but you like, being the rabbi, and I guess you are, that honor.
All right, Claire, I see that this was obviously too much for you to handle, which would wonder why you keep on coming back to these spots where people just go on meandering with no purpose. But I want to be fair to
people, save time and energy and not have to.
You're right.
So I heard you, Claire. Claire, I heard you say you need to know who's full of shit and who isn't. You're full of shit, Claire. I just saved a ton of time. You're full of shit, Claire.
Okay, so what have I said that is untrue or illogical?
You live in London, Claire.
Are you calling London a shithole?
No, I'm calling you full of shit because
so
if you actually believed in Koranism, you wouldn't be living in London. You might be living in Morocco. You might be living in Saudi Arabia. You might be living in Tehran. You might be living in Malaysia. You might be living in Indonesia. You might be living anywhere else. But you would not be living in London.
No, I actually have to be in the West to show that, it's for Westerners. But I lived
you have to be in the West because you don't want to live in a shithole, and you are proving
actually, a lot of people are.
But by revealed preference through your actions, you are revealing.
All right. Sorry. So this is this.
Oh, come on. Let us argue.
No, I don't want to. And I already talked about that. So, no. So part of it is, so here's the thing. There are times when I will allow certain things to happen on my channel that I don't like, because I think that's good for you sometimes, because I'm not always right about everything. But at the end of the day, it is my channel, and I don't have to let you come on and take it over and do whatever you want. I don't have to do that.
Okay, so it's Ian's time to monologue again.
How clear is that? I don't have to be colonized by you.
Monologue again.
Huh?
Okay. It's time for Ian to monologue again, right?
I mean, Claire, here's the thing: is like, are you a colonizer that like you come here, you don't like what Ian has to say or what I have to say, or you
No,
think
it's boring.
why are you here? Then why are you here?
Well, okay, I don't see why we can't have a proper conversation. It doesn't have to be nicey, and I agree with you, but and crap like that. Why don't we just get down to brass tacks and
I
say
know.
what we think is a problem? And you know, just when Jacob and I are getting there, you have to, you know, nanny us. You're always nannying us.
Okay, Claire, here's the thing. I will add you back to the screen. Sorry, Jacob. I will add you back to the screen if you decide to play nice. Because here's the thing. You're a lot like T-Grog or something. Like, here's the thing is you say the same things over and over and over. And I understand your points, but like you will say like, why can't we just have a formal, nice conversation? I understand that's what you want to do. I understand it. I get it. But if I don't, that's not the only way to have a meaningful or a good conversation. I don't have to do what you want all the time. That is you being a colonizer. I don't have to.
Look, I mean, yeah, you have to set rules and boundaries and stuff. And I'm glad you're starting to recognize that.
Thank you. Well, listen, I don't want to be just like full of shit and wrong all the time, Jacob. You know, I'm trying to learn from you.
I don't think I've ever said you're full of shit. You're wrong all the time, but you can set your clock by it. But I like you. You're a good person. You're the quintessence of the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Well, trying not to be. Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Well, and this is part of it too, is like Jacob and I, this is part of the corner. This is part of why there is no formal confessional orthodoxy here, because if there was, Jacob and I couldn't be friends. We couldn't, like, this is why it's really a relational thing. Because like you and I disagree about tons of stuff.
Wrong. While I love you, I think there are creeds and confessions in the Jordan Peterson sphere. And I think that the creeds and confessions are what allow us to be what we are and have the conversations that we do. And unfortunately, as Paul very intelligently and eloquently points out, a lot of these creeds and confessions are they're unspoken, and the thing is, Paul likes them to be that way, whereas I think that these pretenses that there aren't creeds of confessions, where what does Paul do? His Weasley or Jackally or whatever he calls it. You know what I'm talking about? He talks about lions and jackals, right? Or lions and
lions and foxes.
Lions and foxes. That's it. Foxes, right? He talks about his foxy, like he's being foxy, and it's like, stop being foxy. Be a lion.
So foxy.
What?
Paul is so foxy. Silver fox. Well, bald fox. But no, I agree with you. There are, having rules is inevitable. It's inevitable, and they're either explicit or implicit.
Right, and I would prefer explicit to implicit, because I think there's a level of, look, I like apocalypse. I like revelation. I like the truthfulness and people actually the knowledge of God covering the earth as the waters cover the seas.
Right.
And so, and I think that's the point of Logos, right? Is to actually speak the truth and explain what is the order that that pertains in the world, which is why I am so opposed to these implicit creeds, these implicit rules, these quiet, you know, don't say it, be foxy. we've had there's a Mishnah in the sayings of the fathers, be the tail of lions and not the head of foxes. I would much rather be the tail of a lion than the head of a fox.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying, and the way I would probably respond to that is that I think in the end, like in the eschaton, that's true. I think whatever is hidden will be revealed. Whatever was covered will be shouted from the mountaintops. I think that's true. But this is where I would point to like Rilke or whatever. Like the point is to live everything. I think truth and explicit stuff sometimes can do more harm than good until people are ready to embody it.
Okay, do you realize the irony of you as a Christian who believes that it is here and it is now and not yet, etc., 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 saying to me, yeah, in the future eschaton, but right now we're not at the point where we can speak logos truthfully.
Well, I think you can. That's what saints do in the Christian frame.
Okay, so be a saint and speak your rules.
Yes, but part of being a saint is being a relation. And so it's kind of like what Afriel was saying earlier. It doesn't do me any good to tell like I know this from parenting. It doesn't do me any good to Bible beat my kids with the rules if it's just going to create rebellion.
Correct. Nobody said anything about Bible beating, but if you don't say what the rules are, if your kids don't know what the rules are, if you hide the ball from your kids,
sure,
which is precisely what this implicit creedalism does, right? It's hiding the ball for fear of it's imagine if you never told your kids, yes, we're Christian. You're like, no, we're just boomers, and you can be any religion you want, and if you became a Buddhist tomorrow, I would be just as happy, right? It's bullshit. You would not be just as happy if your son became a Buddhist tomorrow.
No, but we have these kinds of conversations all the time because we're navigating that right now as he gets ready for college and deciding where he goes and why he's going to go where he goes and what are his visions and hopes for the future. I just had that conversation with him this morning because he was like telling me some dream he had last night, and because something he really wants that he talks about really wanting is all my kids, and I mean, whatever, I guess I'm going to congratulate myself on like all my kids are they're not as like pro-natalist as me, but they all really love.
I congratulate your wife. I think she's probably a better parent than you are. Sorry, Luke.
No, but she's I'm not going to disagree. She's a great parent. And we're very different in the ways that we parent, but she's a wonderful woman.
And if she was not around, you would drive your kids crazy.
I agree. I think I've said that before. But so he really loves babies. He really has realized he really wants children. He likes kids, which is great. That's fantastic. And he wants to live close to us and have like a tight-knit nuclear family and go over to the grandparents and do all that. And I was telling him, well, where he decides to go to school, like that's just something to keep in his mind, because if that really is a long-term value of his, then where he goes to school probably really matters, like you're going to want to find a particular kind of woman. If you want family cohesion with our family and stuff, you're probably going to want your wife to be Orthodox, because on one hand, like there is kind of yes, I mean, do I want my kids to be Orthodox because I think it's the most true church? Yes. But even more so than that, like I want them to be Orthodox because I want to have ongoing continued relationship with them. And that's going to be a big part of our life. So like, because I see families at church where like intergenerational people are all there together, and that's awesome. Like I want that for my family. And so that's the kind of stuff that I tell him, which but I also know at the same time, like you can't, I don't know, there's lots of personal stories of our family that I could say where like, it's kind of the idea of the Bible thumping though, is like, I have other situations in my family where there are rules and my kids know the rules and the kids know my preferences. But I
would be incredibly, incredibly disappointed if your son became a Muslim.
I think it would depend on a lot of things.
I have no idea why you are like you have this fear of saying, yes, I don't want my kid
I already
to
said that.
but you sound guilty about it.
It's not guilty. It's just like
It's like this is a backward religion that is obviously false. The Quran is incomprehensible without a context of Judaism and Christianity. It has destroyed every civilization that has ever adopted it. All the countries that live under Islam are shitholes. This is a very simple thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know all that. I mean, there are aspects of that where, like, I agree.
How many Muslim countries have you visited?
Me?
Have you ever been there?
None, I think. Well, and that goes that's me putting my money where my mouth is like you don't know anything through initiation. So
this is the thing. Once you actually go to a Muslim country, you end up living in London, just like Claire did.
Well, that's like
obviously, like, why would an intelligent human being want to live under Islam?
Well, and I'm not going to deny some of that. I mean, part of what I have conversations like this with Matt C. and some of these other guys who know a lot more about Islam and the history of Islam than I do. But like, aren't there, and you probably know this too, aren't there facets of Islam, fundamentalists like jihadist Islam is a relatively recent development, correct?
Yes, Islamism as opposed to actual Islam, right? So
right.
We can talk about this stuff, sure. Yeah. But ultimately, like, you know that if you're in a country which proclaims Islam as its religion, you're living in a shithole.
You haven't been to Iran.
I have. Hold on. Who are you talking to?
You were invited to go back and you refused.
Of course I refused, because I have seen Iran.
You would never visit a
Claire, when have you been to Iran?
How many Muslim countries
Claire,
have you
when
visited?
did you go to Iran, Claire? When were you in Iran?
Yeah, I'd love to go to Iran.
I will buy you the ticket, Claire. I will buy
you not a good time.
Today.
All right, guys. All right. Jeez. Listen, I'll let it go a little bit, but like one of the rules is no talking over each other. Dang it, guys. Now I feel like a guilty parent.
Hey, Luke.
What's up, Mark? I'm doing all right.
I just want to complain to Jacob that the way his flag is hanging, the sword that the lion's holding is kind of bent and it looks awful. So if he could fix that.
He's working on it backstage. They're in a timeout.
Oh, okay. You knocked everyone off. Good on you.
Jacob, you were both talking
over stream,
each other. It's too hard. I can't do it. That's right. I will pull this car over. What, Ian?
It's your stream. It's your rules. You've made your rules.
I want to go back to an initial question. I think that. Oh,
you're all right. Go.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can.
I wanted to go back to something you were mentioning about Paul listening to people during randos and the way that he listens without judgment. You said you like psychoanalysis. That's like obviously something that Carl Rogers really was a big forefather of for the whole thing. But really listening to people allows for them to do that apocalypse or revelation that Jacob was talking about. And I think that that's something that we've lost in identitarianism, might be the TLC word or the Luke word. Like when Jacob is saying Islamists lead to shithole countries, he's saying something that's too broad to be true, but like statistically, he might be able to prove that, you know? But then you could also have the statement that like Nazis were Christians, but that doesn't track both ways. They could have had a Christian. I'm thinking like there's some element of this intuitive conversation that Hezi was bringing up and that Claire kind of came against. It's like, well, actually, it's really good to have these implicit creeds do whatever nature of the creeds here allows for people to trespass them and reveal themselves sort of naturally. Like they just act naturally, and then you can be like, oh, that's the type of person that doesn't steel man, doesn't straw man, and doesn't have good faith participation in what it is that we're doing. And you just kind of police it also very naturally. Like, oh, I guess I'm not going to have as many conversations with that person.
Right. I mean, that's somewhat my preference. And like, even now, that's what Jacob said. This just means Claire gets to filibuster. And that's part of Claire's criticism.
I don't filibuster, do I?
Claire,
I mean, I get straight to the...
Claire, don't interrupt. That's a rule. If you can't listen, I'm letting you back on, and then you just break the rules again. And I guess this is like, if you do it again, I'm just going to remove you from the stream, and that'll be it for this time, because you have to follow the rules.
I don't filibuster. What does that mean?
A filibuster.
A
filibuster is when you just keep talking.
I get to the point, and I want to answer Jacob's accusation. So you think I would get more authority if I lived in some Muslim country telling Westerners what to do? Really? I'll go now, but consider that question.
Filibuster vigilantly. My name is Blue Canary, one note spell L-I-T-E.
We always got a good Mark song on a stream. But yeah, it's see, that's, I mean, I suppose like this is where I weave in and out. Like the whole stream was about this, the social aspect of it, is that if on a stream I determine, and this doesn't mean that we can't have hard conversations. It doesn't mean that we can't fight sometimes. It doesn't mean that we're not going to break the rules sometimes, because you have to break the rules sometimes. But if I, as the authority in the head of my channel, I don't know who the hell else it would be, determine that those are becoming improper and it's devolving into something that I don't think is beneficial and good and edifying, then I reserve the right to moot and boot. That's part of my thing.
Could you explain what star manning is?
Assuming the best in the person. So steel manning is like seeing the idea in the best possible light. Star manning is seeing the other person in the best possible light.
Why is that a good thing?
There's a star man waiting in the sky. Sorry.
I think that it's because then you just assume I think you don't impose bad intentions on the other person.
Why is that a good thing?
Because I think it's very hard to determine other people's intentions, and sometimes you can be wrong.
Correct. So why would you imply good intentions? How about you don't imply any intentions and you just look at their actions? And we have this rosy colored picture filter, which makes it's good if we pretend people are never evil and we see the good in everyone. How about we try to see the good and the bad, and we try to see things as they really are, as opposed to star manning and steel manning, or straw manning and whatever the opposite of star manning is. How about we actually try to see things as they are?
I mean, I think we're all trying to do that. The problem is I think that it's hard, and it's like the Vervaeke bullshitting and lying to yourself and all that kind of thing, which other people do, but we also do. One of the reasons, have you ever seen the movie Prisoners? Okay. One of my favorite films of like the last, I don't even know when it was made, 10, 20 years. That film is a very good reason why I think not relying on your own understanding is a good thing, because sometimes you're wrong, and sometimes you're wrong in a way that's real bad.
Have you met Lucky?
I think I've seen Him? Her?
Him.
I don't want to misgender your dog. I think I've seen him on stream, but I have not. I met your other dog in real life, I think.
Yep. Happy has gone off to greener pastures.
Right. And then Mark also has a dog. Do dogs recognize each other on stream?
I don't think right now Lucky even realizes that's his own picture there. He does sometimes notice himself in reflections.
So here, Paul said this. I'll read Paul's thing and then let's close with last words because I gotta get going. So and this will be my last word, hopefully. Sometimes I say that and then I talk more. Assuming the worst forecloses the possibility of seeing in the future that I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, you close yourself off from revelation and repentance. Mark, Jacob.
So, folks listening, joining in, Luke's laid down some rules. If you want to go on the stream, obey the rules. Stop forcing him to have to act in a way that he doesn't want to. Yeah, you can just obey the rules. Okay, stop it. Okay.
Good word. Thanks, Mark. Jacob.
I will say I was not attempting to disobey your rules. I try to obey the rules. It's just very hard with Luke to know what the rules are when, and I think that it's precisely as bad, if not worse, to assume the best in a person as to assume the worst in a person, because you're just assuming, and the goal is not to be deluded in one way or another. It's to see things hopefully as they really are. And yeah, that's difficult. Correct. Life is hard. Get used to it.
All right, David. Late showing to the party, but you know we're closing down stream because I have things to do. Why don't you give us your thoughts, my friend?
Luke, I don't know about your principle. I think you're just a left-handed fighter. Does that make sense to you? Where like they think one of the reasons why left-handedness may have even like evolved, like what its purpose is that if you come across someone that just fights different, then it will surprise some people. It puts you at a disadvantage in some ways, but it also gives you an advantage in other ways. So I feel like you are trying to follow your principle, and that means that Claire is allowed to hack your system, for lack of a better term, where she may not be able to in other places. And in some situations, I think that definitely makes you, for lack of a better term, win the fight.
I think what I'm trying to do is like the whole Jesus thing. Satan thought he was winning, and he got what he wanted, and it ended up being his destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I liked that you had Claire on for a conversation in the past week. I thought that was really good. Something that needed to happen. But it's difficult because I have, within this week, I've been praying for Claire because I've been trying to understand what's happening, and I realized that the direction that I was taking is not the right one. And so I just started praying for her and started realizing that the only way that it would work is if I was doing so without any malice, without any anger, without anything being upset. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to always encourage, like, the prayer is a good thing when you don't know what to do. That's a fantastic deal. All right, Jess, actual last word.
I just saw that you were streaming. I just saw that Jacob was on, and I saw David join. And Well,
I'm doing Bible
I don't even
study.
know what you guys are talking about.
I'm doing Bible study at the hour. So come
Okay.
out to that.
Nice.
How about that? If this is ending soon.
I might continue this this little stream after Luke decides to be gone, so that people like Jess can talk, because I like Jess.
Yeah, Jess is great. I will listen into it as I go about my day, but that's good. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Last day, bringing back the social media. Thanks everyone for coming. That's all. Let's close out. What should we close out with? Another. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. I left 9 comments on the Glenn Sunshine conversation. And he did his whole randos in the end. Nice. Like, good work. Let's see. I timed it. I left. Let's count.